ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Get weekly football winners from Alex White, Chris Andrews, and Vinny Magliulo.
I did take the dog 3.5.
I'm going to stay with the Colts here. That's definitely going to be one of my plays.
If the Bears have turned the corner, they have to take care of business in this game.
Yes.
Tune in for behind-the-book perspectives you won't find anywhere else.
Well, if you're looking to bet the under, you're going to get a better number.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
It's your way to bet against both teams.
Get your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for being with us here on Sports by the Book. We are live for the next 2 hours, so hopefully you can stick around with us. Myself, Chris Andrews, and Vinny Magliulo. It is Football Frenzy. We have an hour of college football, week 11, and then we have an hour of NFL for week 10. A lot to discuss, a lot to get to. Of course, on Tuesday, we had our first selection show for the top 12. The projected playoffs is set right now for college football. Of course, that's going to change a couple times, right? 4 more weeks in the regular season. So it's been a really good one. We've got some interesting games, and I'm imagining a lot more chaos still to come. What about you guys?
Well, I think there's chaos on their end. You know, I'm not sure how much it's going to influence us, but it should influence a little bit because teams will be playing for that playoff spot, and teams that maybe think that they're out of it, or maybe they are out of it, how's it going to affect them on the field? So we have to be aware of it. We have to be able to react to it. And, you know, I mean, and like I said, will it affect our power ratings? I'm not sure, but power ratings is just a place to start because I know I got a couple plays this week where I'm kind of going against my power ratings.
You know, as fans, we certainly want to see certain teams, right? I mean, we're still all fans. But look, until they get an odds maker, bookmaker on the committee, we just give us the matchups. We'll make the numbers. The reality too, to Chris's point about the power ratings, Alex, there's going to be teams that don't make the playoffs. They're going to have a higher power rating than some teams that get in. So, but that's out of our control. Give us the matchups, and we'll give you the numbers.
As of right now, Texas is the first team out, looking in, and then Oklahoma right behind them. Both of those teams still have a pretty good and high power rating. And we'll see if they can win outright and actually sneak into the playoffs. But Ryan and I talked on Wednesday, kind of reacted to the initial show. And overall, we thought they did a really good job. Not very high on the ACC. So we'll see how things unfold with that. And maybe, you know, if Miami gets into the championship game and then loses that one, maybe we get 2. But it's looking like just that's a one bid conference right now.
I think so. And we're talking about the power ratings. I have Utah highly power rated, almost impossible for them to get in. Yeah. But I still think that's a really good team. They just had a couple of bad games. You know, did I toss those out? Well, not entirely, but to a degree, because I think they are a really good team.
Utah will be interesting. Of course, BYU and Texas Tech above them right now. They play each other this weekend. So one of them will have a loss after this, and Texas Tech would be their second. So they might sneak in to that Big 12 championship. We'll see.
Yeah, I like I said, I have them very highly rated. They had 2 clunkers, but if they get in, they could be a little dangerous. I like them.
I think I have them 11 or right there.
Yeah,
so.
really? Okay.
Miami with the 2 losses. It's
boy, that's inconsistent.
That's again. There's going to be 1, maybe 2 lost teams.
Oh yeah,
but they're going
to
they're going to come out of the SEC, and the Big Ten. So yeah, multiple teams with 2. But Miami, I think Miami's got to run the table and win the ACC conference championship game.
Well, we do have 3 games tonight, and on our earlier show, we did give our thoughts. I actually had a play on all 3 of them. 2, I felt more confident than one of them, but we do have a Big 12 matchup with Houston coming off of that loss to West Virginia, where they were kind of making a run there. Northwestern going to USC. USC 2-touchdown favorite. And then Tulane and Memphis, probably the biggest game on the board for the American. because they're trying to get that group of 5 spot in the 12-team playoff. Any thoughts or any remarks for these 3, whether it is movement or even if you like anything in any of these?
A lot of money shown on Tulane, and I'm not sure that's not an overreaction. I know there's some quarterback issues for Memphis. Their starter is questionable. Almost looks like he won't play, or at least if he does, he's going to be hindered. And I think that's probably more like he'll play, but not at 100%. Still think it might be a little bit of an overreaction. But I have to say, the sharp guys are on Tulane in that one. I'm probably not going to touch that game, but I still kind of like the favorite a little bit.
I've been on Memphis a lot.
Yeah.
It does worry me, though, because he definitely uses his athleticism, and he is a runner, so not so much a pocket passer, and is lower body. So got to be a little hesitant there. But
yeah, but I still kind of like the favorite.
3-point move to the dog in this one, right? With Lewis questionable. Both of these teams have battled near the top of the American for the last few seasons. They used to get. You wonder, was Houston looking ahead last week? Typically not.
What happened?
Not a spot. And credit, West Virginia for the effort that they put forth last week. And then in terms of Northwestern and SC, the Trojans are one of 4 teams in the Big Ten with 1 conference loss. So that's a situation too where a second one for one of those teams, for any of those teams, I think is going to put them in a precarious position.
Well, yeah, you have Oregon with a home loss. To Indiana right now, it looks like it. Barring an upset, it looks like it's going to be Ohio State and Indiana in the championship game. Where does that leave Oregon? Where does that leave USC if they run the table from here? I'm not sure what's going to happen out of there, but I think there's a good chance they get a 3rd team. I don't know if they get a 4th, but there's a good chance they get a 3rd.
I agree. I would say they probably will get a 3rd, right?
Yeah.
And there's a huge game for Oregon this weekend. So I'm excited to get to, but
that's a tight.
That could tell a lot.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get into Saturday's slate here. I forgot to mention this on the morning show, so I might as well take the opportunity now because you want to come check out all the parlay cards, all the different options here. Ties win, the half-point card, some teasers. We've been following those, and this reverse teaser has done fairly well the last couple weeks. Not that people were necessarily on the right sides. 1 week, they did get you 1 week, Chris, but
they got us good that 1 week. That's for sure.
Yes, they definitely.
Let me just give another. We always try to help the players. Then guys ask me, why do you do this show? Well, we do want to help the players. We really do. I'm going to give you a hint, though. Seriously, we do the teaser cards and the reverse teaser cards on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, there's always a lot of adjustments. Well, guess what? Those adjustments don't come on the teaser card. So you can find some bargains. If you see some games that moved Wednesday morning or late Tuesday night, you could still get a pretty good number on those teaser cards on those games. So just a little hint. And listen, there's plenty of bad numbers on the other cards too, but you can find some decent bargains on those teaser cards when you see the moves that we didn't have time to catch because we got a lot of cards to print, and there's some mechanics involved in getting that actually done, and so I know that there's times when there's some flaws in those cards.
Well, and the show is on Friday, right? A lot of movement already.
Right.
So if you're just looking for a stale number that you can't get anymore, you can find that on these parlay cards too. So great point there. And you also have, which is very popular, team to score first.
Yep.
And then the team that's going to score the most points throughout the day on Saturday.
Yeah, we have that. And, somebody was asking me the other day, Vinny, maybe you remember, somebody got us at like 300 to 1. I think it was 2 years ago.
Yes.
I remember Vinny coming
Sun
into
Belt game or something like that. And
tell us about it.
Somebody got us, fortunately not much, like 10 or 20 bucks, which pays pretty good at 300 to 1. That ain't bad.
Not bad.
But they nailed us on that one. That and of course, that's why they are 300 to 1. There's some I have 1,000 to 1. And, I joke with Joe Holler, who's probably listening to this show. He's from Wisconsin. And we should have put them 8 million to 1 this week, but we didn't.
Brian has a note right here. East Carolina, actually the first game on the board rotation number, because that is actually a 12 p.m. Pacific start time. They are the favorite right now for most points in college football on Saturday.
Well, it's a high total, and they're about a 30-point favorite. What, I've got about 29, I think, something like
29.
that. So I mean, they're the team figured to score the most points. Of course, figured and happens. Doesn't always come out that way.
And Charlotte, by the way, in that match, I know we're not going to delve into it too much, but Charlotte with wins and covers in this matchup the last couple of years.
Did they?
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My dad's going to be mad at me if they cover Vinny. I scratched that one. I said, let's just pass and move on to the next.
Well, we just threw it out there.
Talk about that.
So,
we got other stuff to talk about.
yes, all right. Well, let's get to Kentucky here, Chris. And they are catching 3 at home. Florida got a little bit of the bump last week. They did cover against Georgia since firing Billy Napier, but now they got to go to take on a feisty Kentucky team that got a good win last week. Side, Florida 3-point favorite, total 44.5.
I don't want to get carried away because I think that first game after the coach gets fired, sometimes that team could be fired up and play their best game. And I think they all did really like Billy Napier. That's kind of the word we got out of Kentucky or out of Florida. But I think Kentucky maybe been a little disappointing this year. I think they expected more. This is going to probably be on my menu. I like the favorite. I like Florida in this game. Like I said, I didn't want to get too carried away after judging from last week. But I think right now, I think the Kentucky team is very disappointed in the year that they've had. Of course, Florida is too. But I think Florida does have the talent. There's some threes around. If you're going to play it, I would say I'd recommend you go find that 3, obviously. But it's 3 and 3.5. But it's probably going to be on my board at Florida -3.
Take in 3.5, right, Chris? Lay in the 3.
Yeah,
we're not going to need the 3, obviously. Cats, Alex, you pointed it out. Their first conference win last week. They've been a little Kentucky's battled in some games. They've made some things interesting. I give them credit considering they're 3-5 overall. This has been a tough matchup for Florida the last 4 years. I think Kentucky's gotten the best of it. They're, certainly from a cover standpoint, 3 out of those 4 years. So we'll see. Again, Kentucky home here. If you're going to play Kentucky, obviously look for the hook, the 3.5. And if you're going to bet Florida, then obviously, as Chris pointed out, lay the 3.
One thing I know for sure is both of these teams much better defensively than offensively.
Yeah.
I wish I had a bigger difference. I made it 42.5, but might be a first half underplay for me with these two. It's just been a struggle from the offensive side, and even from DJ Lagway, who's the better quarterback of the two for Florida. Been a little bit of a struggle. All right, Vinny, let's go to West Point, New York here. Army laying 7 against Temple. Total 45.5. Now, Temple played Navy a couple weeks ago, lost that one by 1. So they've seen the option. I think they can keep this competitive. What do you see? And it looks like the bettors tend to like the favorite, though.
A little bit, yeah. I think it's held pretty steady, right? At the 7. I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of movement on this with the Cadets' favorite. And you know what? They come in here, 3 wins in the last 4 games. They put a hurting on Temple a year ago at Temple. I mean, 42-14, 45. I mean, it was pretty one-sided. Now, last year's Army team was better. Again, we were talking about last year, of the academy schools, that Army was the best one last year. Were they going to make it to the playoff this year? Talking about Navy, although they got beat last week, and of course they have Notre Dame this week. But I think there's going to be more support here, though, for the Cadets. By the way, with this game and several other games, Midwest and Ohio Valley, and so there's some weather moving through. There's a front that's coming through. We saw it last night in terms of not just, it wasn't precipitation, but it was pretty windy in Denver last night with the Raiders and the Broncos. So pay attention to weather reports, Alex, as we get into this card.
I made it number 9. It's not quite enough for me to play, but I kind of like the favorite. I've always talked about it. I root for all these the military teams. But I think Temple started out, I was really had some high expectations out of Temple this year. And I think they started out okay. It's kind of, they're coming back down to earth a little bit, But I don't think it's enough for me to play. Like you said, Temple saw a relatively similar offense a few weeks ago, played them very, very tough. And what is the total on this game?
45,
45 and a half. It's kind of a low total. I don't like laying big, a touchdown. I mean, you could find 7. There might even be a 6.5 stray in the market. I know the Westgate contest has 6.5. Tempted to play that, but I'm probably going to pass. I'd like the favorite a little bit, but probably not enough to play.
I don't like being on the opposite side of you, but I am. I am on Temple here,
Okay.
taking the 7. And even the service academies, it makes me nervous because how real is your power rating, right? And they can surprise you, but I think the dog can keep it close here, at least with the touchdown and the home revenge that Vinny had brought up too. But we'll see how it all plays out. That is one of my plays of the week. Let's go to Chestnut Hill here, Massachusetts. Boston College played Notre Dame very competitive last week. Can they cover again, Chris? They're getting 11. SMU coming off a big upset win over Miami, Florida.
Well, I don't know if they're going to read their accolades all week or not. They might. I think the number's right there. I have no strong opinion. BC, one of my big disappointments this year. I thought that they would be much, much better. They lost a few close games early in the year, and they're still losing some close games. But I thought they would be much better this year. This is a no touch for me. Like I said, SMU clearly a better team. But how are they going to respond after that big win last week?
Another game that hasn't moved. Not a lot of movement in the last couple of days, right, Chris? And on the card, really, when you look at it, hasn't been. I mean, there's been action, but there's kind of been, some pretty balanced action. And this is a game that really hasn't moved that much at all. A year ago, 10-point game, SMU 38-28, so high scoring. We'll see again. Watch the weather here. And SMU pretty quietly, and again, look at last week. They're right in the race in this ACC.
Yeah.
This ACC is still got several teams that are in contention, and obviously tiebreakers are going to come into play. But this is a big game for SMU.
There's no great team in the ACC, but there's some pretty good teams.
I agree.
Vinny just mentioned SMU. Got Georgia Tech pretty darn good.
Yeah.
Virginia, who we hardly ever talk about.
Who's alone at the top?
Who's
They're
alone at
undefeated.
the
They're
top.
undefeated
They're
in the conference.
team to beat right now.
Yeah.
Miami, of course, has had, they've had their inconsistencies. I mean, I think we're judging by talent. They're clearly the best team. Louisville's been up there.
Yeah.
We hardly ever talk about Clemson. Florida State's been a big disappointment, even though they beat Bama first game of the season.
Yep. Don't
but
forget about Pitt.
Pitt is right up there too. Yeah. So there's some good teams in the ACC, but there's no real standout.
They're like the new Big 12, right, where they're kind of just beating up on each other, and then it's going to hurt them in the long run when it comes to the playoffs. But it's a fun conference. I enjoy watching these games, and I do agree with you. I think there are 5, 6 decently really good teams up there. So that'll be an interesting one, and keeping it right there in that conference. We don't have to talk about this one too long, Vinny. Clemson, Florida State, 2 of the powerhouses in this conference that are both having down years. Pretty disappointing for both of them. Dabo's kind of fired up because they did lose that Duke game, and it probably was a bad call. So now he's at home. Maybe he's using that. They're a 1.5 favorite against Florida State, who came off a dominating win over Wake Forest. And I love that one and stayed away. Sometimes the number tells you, right, when it's a double digit and it's not moving. But here we go, 1.5. What are we doing with this?
Well, they took 2. Again, Clemson, you would have thought, I mean, we didn't have this as a game of the year, but it was certainly, going into the season, it was, probably closer to, 4 or somewhere 4 to 6, maybe in that range. But they did take the 2 with Florida State. Look, here you have a situation with Clemson, a lot of frustration, no question about it. This is a team that might forget. I mean, obviously, the playoffs, they're not going to make the playoff at all. They're not going to make the ACC title game, so they're certainly not going to be able to play. They might not get to a bowl game.
Right.
Yeah, they
think about
record,
it.
Don't they?
I mean, they're Clemson. They're 3-5.
They're 3-5.
I mean, so
Did you
it's
say they would have been in the preseason?
in this matchup.
Yeah, they might have been double digits.
Maybe against Florida State with the I mean, but certainly not 2, right?
Not 2.
Over a touchdown, right?
Yeah.
Definitely.
So 6, 7, somewhere 8. Who knows? But what might have been?
Yeah, I got to tell you, I like Florida State in this game, and this is another one that might make my board. They have it 2.5 in the Westgate contest. Hard to say 2.5, 1.5. There's not a whole lot of value between those two numbers. But, and like Vinny said, we had some good two-way action on this game, as we have had on quite a bit of the board. Alex and I was kidding Alex before the show. I said, my numbers are all like right there. And I don't know if it's a good sign or a bad one. I guess for a bookmaker, it's a good sign. I'm trying to win this contest. It ain't such a good sign. But I kind of like the dog here. I made them a slight favorite. I made them 1. And again, it's hard to find a ton of value with, those kind of numbers right around Pick'em.
I'm right about on Pick'em. Yeah, I did make it pick, but I'll be honest with you, Chris. I would trust Florida State more than I would trust Clemson at this point in time in the season.
Bad vibe around them.
Yeah. And Tommy Castellanos came back last week and looked healthy, so I think that could be a good strong point to help them get this win. Just to backtrack a little bit, because I did find a note here that Boston College is the long shot to score first in that 9 a.m. window at home against SMU.
The counter's right upstairs. Come on.
That's one long shot I think I'm going to pass on. There's another one that definitely caught my eye. We'll get to it, though.
Okay.
All right, keeping it going here in the ACC, Miami, Florida, and Syracuse. Miami came out slow against Stanford, but really put it on them in the second half. Let's see what they can do here. 28.5, Vinny. Total 46.5. And Syracuse, we know they're on their third quarterback. It's just been a struggle there for Graham Brown's team.
Remember, Syracuse won this game at Syracuse. Probably the game that put the nail in
it was, yes.
Miami's coffin, a playoff coffin a year ago. So, I mean, it's difficult. Miami was a 12.5-point favorite in that game, 13-point favorite in that game at Syracuse a year ago. So, I mean, it's a big number here. I mean, you're talking, it's gone through 4 touchdowns. So, again, Syracuse obviously going the wrong direction, but Miami, they cannot afford another loss. I mean, 2-2 in the conference. This is a team again. This is another team that's got to run the table because we talked about it. Virginia undefeated, and 5 teams with 1 loss, right? So difficult.
I made this number 28. Another one, the number's right on. So, I mean, I obviously have no opinion. 28.5 isn't enough to get me to play. But I think Vinny's right. This Miami team better wake up.
Yep.
They better run the table. And if they lose to this one, well, forget about it.
Agreed. Let's go to Chapel Hill here. Bill Belichick's team's playing a lot more competitive, and that's why we're seeing a 7.5 here at home against Stanford. Chris, total 42.5.
Seen some good two-way action in this game, too.
Okay.
But looks like a lot of the money is on UNC. But, I mean, a lot of that is public money. I had one of my sharp players that did take Stanford. Alex, another one. My number, I made it 7. What am I going to do with that? But Stanford's playing a little tougher lately, and I think is one of those teams that, we know Frank Reich is a good coach. He's going to be a one and done. I love Andrew Luck, and I'm hoping he gets this team, because I have a lot of affection for Stanford. But right now, they're not a very good team, but they are playing a little bit better. But, 7 I thought was a good number.
By the way, going into the season, that Clemson-Florida State game, 8.
Okay.
According to my opening ratings.
Yeah, like I said,
Father was sick of my noodle here. You know what? Yeah, you're right. Both of you in terms of these teams playing a little bit more better, a little more competitive. But here's another little aspect here with this revamped ACC. Here's another cross-country trip for a coastal ACC team, right? Stanford coming. I mean, you look at these travel for some of these teams. And again, weather travel, of course, now I believe these are charter flights and everything, but there's been the delays with the airport, not just, we've got the shutdown, impact too, is impacted some flights. So, but something to consider. But, and then NC, they just, they finally won a game last week at Syracuse, which ended a 4-game skid. So we'll see how things play out for both of these teams. And, a chance to, it's hard to imagine that you're talking about a Belichick team that if they can get to a bowl game and get that 6 wins, that would be the magic number. I mean, he's got a hell of a coaching job ahead of him. I'm not so sure they can do it.
They are playing better ball.
They are, but maybe they're starting to buy into it.
they've slowly gotten better. And I thought there was a team that might have had a little bit of quit in them,
Yeah.
but they don't.
No.
I mean, this team's fought hard, even when they've lost their last couple of games. They've fought to the end. There's a couple of games where they should have won.
They almost beat Virginia.
They had that one, they fumbled going into the end zone, But, I do think 7's a good number. I wouldn't touch this game myself.
Let's go over to some Big Ten games here. We're going to Penn State, Beaver Stadium, catching 14 at home against Indiana. That just shows you the changes between these two programs and where they are right now. But Indiana's laying 2 touchdowns, Vinny, on the road here against Penn State.
Yep. I mean, well, now Penn State, these two teams didn't play last year, but Penn State won consecutive year, 23, 22, 21. I think Cignetti, the way he coaches, I think he constantly reminds his team too, and doesn't let them, get out of sync, doesn't get them to look ahead, he doesn't look past anybody. They want to look, and they have a very favorable. Actually, Indiana, it's them and Ohio State right now in the Big Ten, a little bit more favorable schedule for Indiana. But you look at this and you go, really? Indiana's a 2-touchdown favorite in Happy Valley. Chrissy, does that? It's a triple take. It's not even a double take when you look at this.
Well, our good friend Sammy P texted me, I want to say Tuesday. And he says, am I nuts? I like Penn State plus 15. Tell me I'm not crazy. Why? So, Sammy, I made the game 11. So this is another one definitely going to be on my board. They got it 15 on the Westgate. 14 and a half, 15. I mean, obviously you want to get over that 14 if you can, but I think there is plenty of that in the market. Let me just check real quick.
And the game open, 15 and a half, 16?
We opened
right
15 and a half even here, and I was trying to be on the lower end of the market. Actually, the 14, there's a couple 14 and a halfs out there. So you can find that. Obviously, you'd like to get that hook if you can get it. But I could get 15 at the Westgate contest. This is definitely going to be on my menu. And Sammy P, you're not crazy. Either that or we're both crazy. So, but I'm going to be on the dog here.
I'm with you guys because I made it 8. So I have been adjusting.
Wow, okay.
I have Indiana number 2 in my power ratings
So
too.
do I, yeah.
Maybe I haven't moved Penn State down enough. We'll find out. But defense is still pretty good. They hung around in that game against Ohio State. It was on the road. Now the young quarterback, it's his 3rd start, and he's back at home. So he had 2 brutal road starts to begin his college career, Iowa and then Ohio State.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, this is not an easy matchup by any means, but see if they can keep it close enough here.
I'll make it a clean sweep. I'm with you, both of you. They're
All right.
number 2 in my power ratings, too, behind
Yes.
Ohio
So throw
State.
Sammy P in. We're all nuts.
There we go.
Oh, I'm supposed to, Ann? Sbtb stamp of approval? Or that's from Ralph Tarocco, as you guys know, right? When handicappers agree.
Very good.
All right, let's go to the number 1 team as of right now in the ACC. It is Virginia, Vinny, and we just talked about it. If the playoffs were to start now, they are projected to be in there representing that conference. They're a favorite at home against Wake, who, I mean, really, they were playing good and then just got stomped last week. So Virginia's 7-point favorite at home, total 48.
This game at Wake a year ago, I remember it because Virginia won by a point, like 31-30. It was
31-30
right?
is correct.
I mean, you talk about revenge, you talk about a lot of different things, but the bottom line, Wake is a tough out. I mean, when you look at how they play and how competitive they are, I know they're 2-3 in the conference, or 5-3 overall, but they're tough. But again, here it is, Virginia. Man, I'll tell you what, atop the ACC, undefeated, 5-0 in ACC play. I'll tell you what, it's they're at Duke next, so I'm not going to say that it's a look-ahead spot by any means, because Wake is a tough out, and Virginia beating them a year ago, Chris. I think it was a missed extra point. I think Wake was going for 2 to win the game, or I'm trying to remember the end of that game, but it was close and high scoring.
Well, you're right. Wake is a tough out, and my power ratings come higher. But I got to tell you, I really want no part of this, because I think Virginia is really good, and I think I probably had them underrated, as did the whole market, for a big part of the year.
Sure.
But I'm starting to think, I got them overrated? And I think Wake is the kind of team you want to bet them when they're a dog.
Right.
Not that they're going to be a favorite very often, but they are a tough out. What was it? The SMU game that they won by 2. What was that?
1 by 1.
What was it, 13-12
Yes,
or something?
it was.
Score like that. So that's the kind of game they're going to have to try to duplicate to beat Virginia. Can they do it? I don't know. Like I said, my power ratings come higher, but I really want no part of this game. Not that I would play dog or pass. I'd probably play favorite or pass, but it's a pass.
I passed very easily, too. I did make it 7. Now, my dad made it lower, but even he passed on it, too. But
Yeah.
I do think Wake's having a good old time trying to play spoiler here with all these teams. So they're going to go in there playing tough, but Virginia, everything still ahead of them. So it's a very tough handicap. Let's go to an SEC matchup that I absolutely love here. Mississippi State Bulldogs against the Georgia Bulldogs, catching 8.5 at your book. Now, Chris, if you shop around, you can get some 9s, maybe even 9.5. But I'll tell you, I definitely like the dog here, not just for the spot, because Georgia's coming off the Florida game. They have Texas next.
Yep.
I don't think Mississippi State can catch anyone by surprise anymore. They've played Tennessee close. They beat Arizona State at home to start the year. But I do think this is just too many points here. So I'm taking the points. What do you think about this Starkville matchup here?
First of all, I think we've gone to 9 in this game. So
you
we
guys have bumped to 9 now.
Yeah, we have gone there, but I see 9.5 in the market too. I'm kind of with you. I made the number 10, but this was one of those when I looked at it, it says, man, 10 is a one-way number. There's no way you could lay 10 in this game. This is not one of the premier Georgia teams. They're good. They're darn good. But are they elite enough? Well, I hate using that word. But are they elite enough to be a double-digit, close to a double-digit favorite on the road in the SEC? And Mississippi State, I don't think any of us thought much of them going into this year. But, we talk about Wake Forest being a tough out. Mississippi State has been a tough out. I mean, to me, if you can get 10 in this game, which I have a feeling we're going to get there, because the public is definitely on Georgia in this game. I haven't seen the wise guys step in with any conviction yet on Mississippi State, but I have a feeling they will, certainly if we get to 10.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to quote my dear friend Vinny, don't blink if you see that 10. I would go and grab that. But I think the dog is the right side, but make sure you get full value. Try to get the 10 because Georgia is good. I mean, I don't want to downgrade Georgia too much, but they're not the dominant team they've been for the past decade.
Can Mississippi State win this game? Yeah. I mean, they're like as Chris pointed out, almost a double-digit dog. I mean, if Georgia loses this game, they're in a lot of trouble because it's a loss to a team that's way down in the standings. And when you look at the ratings, and in the case of the committee, their rankings are what they pay attention to. Georgia won last year at home, but you mentioned a key point, Alex. They've got the Longhorns on deck next week at Athens, so tricky spot. I'm not going to say necessarily a dangerous spot for Georgia, but they've had a few escapes.
Yes, they have.
And so this one here, if it does keep creeping up, I can see where. I know pros are waiting for this to get higher. One
is the king of winning the one possession close games, and that's Georgia, and one is the king of losing them because Mississippi State has 4 of their 5 SEC matchups have been decided by one possession.
One score, yeah.
Just right? Texas A&M, they struggled on the road there, but I might be a little crazy because I might take a little money line there and see if Mississippi State can really stir it up. And then I think Georgia would probably have their way with Texas next week, like we saw last year. All right, let's keep it moving here, though. Let's go to TCU. Horned Frogs here in Fort Worth are a 7-point favorite, Vinny, against Iowa State, who has lost 4 in a row. They need a win. Total's 57. Do you think Cyclones can bounce back here?
The Cyclones have kind of lost their way. I mean, 4 in a row. By the way, they've lost 4 in a row, and they haven't covered any of those games either. So, they had that fast. They were one of the teams that started very early in the season. They got off to a fast start, and ever since that first loss, it's been downhill for them. TCU playing better. They've already got 6 wins. So the difference to me, Chris, in this game, frankly, TCU is the more focused team when you watch how these teams have performed in the last few weeks.
This is one of those games. First of all, my power ratings came to 7, and now there's some 7.5 in the market. But one of the games, and I did this. I haven't done this all year until this week. I like to follow Bill Conley, and I like his SP plus. And but I've never actually made point spreads based on his numbers. Well, I did this week just for the hell of it. Now, I think Bill even himself would tell you these maybe not be the numbers to bet on. But this game here, you know what he has it?
What?
TCU 1.5.
Wow.
I made it 7, and I got to tell you, when I made it 7, I started thinking, man, does Iowa State drop down that far? I think the answer might be yes, by the way, because I did make it 7. So I'm not touching this game, but that was one that I marked on my sheet that Conley was just way off on. I was way off on a couple others because, he didn't adjust for like the Nebraska quarterback injury. Oh, there's another game out there that he had a quarterback injury that he didn't adjust for. Because his I think it's Missouri. Because his numbers are strictly based, totally objective, no subjectivity going into it at all. Again, for a big injury or weather or anything like that. But that was one that kind of stuck out to me. That I thought, boy, that's, I don't know. I'm not going to play the dog, I'll tell you that. But Conley's numbers come to the dog.
It's very tricky because TCU really hasn't done anything wrong. I mean, to lose at Kansas State and at Arizona State, right? So pretty good resume coming into this, coming off a bye. But Iowa State just seems so desperate, right? They're 5 wins. They want to at least get a bowl game here to finish the season. So it's a tough one. I would lean to the favorite. I actually made it a little bit higher, but I think I've been a little higher on TCU.
Iowa State 5-0 at one point. Now they're 5-4. Pretty it's crazy.
Yes. Speaking of Missouri, let's go there where they have to host Texas A&M that is still undefeated, looking very good in the SEC. Missouri without Bo Pribula, catching 7 now at home. It was 6.5 most of the week. Total 48.5. Chris, any thoughts on this one?
I don't. I made it 7, so I really have no play. But this is another one where I had a text conversation with Ed Feng. And he, we love Ed. And actually, Ed and Bill Conley are good friends. And Ed was telling me both he and Conley have A&M rated very high. And that made me go back and look. And I did bump up A&M a couple points in my power ratings, just out of respect for those two guys. But still, I made it 7, which seems to be right about what the number is. I don't know that much about the Missouri quarterback. So I'm not sure exactly what to do with it, but I think 7 was a good number. And it looks like it's been a pretty good number. There's some 6.5, I guess, in the market, but really another one of those games without a whole hell of a lot of movement.
Yeah.
Two-way action, which we love. Not only at the desk, but especially at the counter.
Yes.
Look, this A&M in a dominant performance against Missouri a year ago in College Station. Certainly the healthier team. Both these teams are coming in off a bye. And so, Missouri looking to get healthier, but not at the quarterback position. So, and they're out of the SEC race, unfortunately.
Drinkwitz is getting mentioned for some jobs, too.
So, yeah, we're going to see quite a bit of that as we get in. Even when you look at this card, there's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of names, a lot of, there are some very prominent jobs available, as we know, because of some recent terminations. And how does that impact the teams that have a high-profile named coach that are being considered or at least named in the searches?
It's a big difference, too. I mean, look at last week with Rhett Lashley getting the extension at SMU, and that gave me confidence to back them even more, pitching the points with Miami. And look at that team. They come out and win outright for him. So
good point, Alex.
That
Pay
hesitation,
attention to it.
and it's good to know for these programs.
Yep.
Missouri's going to try and just run the ball as much as they can. They have the two-headed monster, Ahmad Hardy, who is probably one of the best running backs. And then they also have Jamal Roberts. So they're going to try to stay in this one, control the clock, run the ball. But I don't know. It kind of feels like one where we look back and we think that 6.5 was very light on this Texas A&M team. To Vinny's point, too, 41-10 was the final last year. And I I thought that was a pretty good Missouri team as well. I know this one's better, but might just show you the gap still in the SEC with some of those teams. Let's go to the big one in the Big 12. We're going to Lubbock here, Texas Tech. Ryan mentioned the whole campus is camping out for the week. They're excited. Game day is going to be here. Undefeated BYU comes into town. Texas Tech is a 10-point favorite, Vinny. Total 51.5. Is this one that the number's kind of telling you the story here?
Well, they did take the hook, right? We Chris read on Monday and went back to 10.5. So a toggler here at a pretty key number. Well, certainly not a 3 or a 7, but yeah. Look here, this BYU team, they have met every challenge. You know, now they've had some close games. Again, he's this quarterback. He's not a freshman anymore. He's certainly weathered the season so far. And you mentioned it, Alex. Both of these teams are the top 2 teams in the conference. The winner of this game is going to be in the driver's seat. I don't necessarily think that especially if it's BYU that loses, one loss isn't going to kill them. Especially if they can, be successful for the remainder of their games. But Texas Tech with injuries too at wide receiver and a quarterback. Now the change has been made, has not really dropped them quite that much. But this will be one of the better games. One of the games that I think everybody's going to get involved with. And I'm looking forward to it because this is a good one. It's a 9:00 game too, Chris. I kind of wish this was in that 12:30 or 1 o'clock window. But look, again, bettors adjust, and they're playing it on the cards, and they're going to bet it at the counter as well, buddy.
I kind of like the favorite. I made it 12. 10.5. Is that enough to get you to play? Borderline. I don't know. As Vinny said it, BYU has met challenges, and you look up and down their roster. I'm just not sure they were that good. But then again, you look up and down Texas Tech's roster now. Prior to some of the injuries that have, I don't know how bad they've taken their toll. But I think Texas Tech, except the quarterback, clearly had one of the best rosters in the country. Now, I still made this game 12. I don't know if that's enough to get me to play. There are some 10s around. You can get 10 in different places. And I did have one of the wise guys that bet me early in the week, took BYU plus a 10.5. Guy I highly respect. So I'm not eager to lay the 10, but I think gun to my head, I would lay it.
I want to just check this quick head-to-head because I'm curious on the strength of schedule. It just feels like such a step up in class. I'm with you, Chris. I made it 11.5. Okay. I didn't play it on my main card. I did play it on my other contest card, though. So I do think that they can cover this, and last week against Kansas State, because they've kind of been going back and forth between the 2 quarterbacks, but Barron Morton got the start, 43-20, very impressive road win, as long as he can stay healthy and stay there, because, of course, we know the backup is out for the year.
L.J. Martin comes back for this game. L.J. Martin is the best running back for BYU. He's been out for a few weeks. He's trending to come. He's back at practice, so that could be something that bears noting.
Be a good one there. 9 a.m. Pacific time, of course. Though there's a couple good ones.
Yeah, there are some good ones. Yeah,
in that spot, keeping it moving. Hopefully, that answered Jim's request enough. I guess it's a lean for both of us to the favorite there. Made it a little bit higher.
Yeah, lean.
Back to 10.5 here at the South Point. Still some 10s out there. I'd love to get under 10, right? Then it would be a great bet. Let's go to Vandy, Nashville, Tennessee here. Chris Vanderbilt taking on Auburn, who is no longer with Hugh Freeze. The big question is, will they get the fired coach bump? Vandy 6.5 at home, total 45.5.
The fired coach bump is real. I mean, you follow it over the years. I mean, it is real. So this is their first game with a new coach, I mean, again, my power ratings come a little bit higher, but I don't want to touch this. Again, you look at Vandy. They've been a great story. One of the best stories, probably other than Indiana, probably like the best story in college football in the last 2 years. But I want to lay points against Auburn, who, what is this total? Again, relatively low. We're looking at about 45 in college anymore. That's a relatively low total. And like I said, that college coach getting fired, that bump, it holds up quite a bit. So, I mean, I want no piece of this game.
They took the opener, 7.5. Yeah. They took the 7. So to Chris's point, there,
in the market.
Look, Vandy's undefeated at home. So yes, the U-Freeze. I'm not even going to call it the era, the chapter.
Yes.
Another U-Freeze chapter has concluded. But they're betting they've bet the dogs so far. I believe at some point though, starting probably tonight, I think we'll see the public get involved with the favorite here.
I think we've seen a lot of improvement. I think they should have given him a little more time. I mean, they went to Jackson Arnold and took him from Oklahoma. Maybe give him another quarterback. Anyways, we're going to another school that fired their coach, but it was 2 weeks ago. Brian Kelly let go from LSU, but they had a bye week. Now they get to go to Tuscaloosa and take on Alabama. The Crimson Tide 10-point favorite at home, total 49.5. Vinny, what are you seeing on this one?
Game of the year. Alabama was 6.5, Chris, when we posted this, and obviously a tale of two seasons. So, but they did again. Coaching change. It took the 11, took 10.5, and now the game sits at 10. Both of these teams off the bye, so pretty dominant performance a year ago at LSU by the Crimson Tide, 42-13. So. Is there more juice? Does LSU get a bump? Maybe, but Alabama, they lost that first game and they haven't looked back since. I mean, they've had some challenges, but they've answered the call every time, buddy. Right? Kalen DeBoer, he got, they were looking to run him out of town 2 weeks into the season. Since then, I mean, the guy's a winner. The guy's won everywhere he's gone. I have a dear friend who is an LSU fan. And she's told me they are so happy to get rid of Brian Kelly. And you talk about a bump.
Yeah.
I think this will be, think of the biggest speed bump you've ever had to go over. I think that's the kind of bump you're looking at. Now, I mean, is 10 enough? There's some 11s in the market. I was looking at the Westgate contest. They have a 10. I got to tell you, if it was 11 for sure. If they had 10.5, maybe 10. I'm thinking about it, but I definitely like the dog here. And we talk about the bump. The bump is real, and I don't think there's any more obvious bump in the market this week or maybe even this year. I mean, they did not like Kelly at all, and I think they were so happy. And by the way, it's their defensive coach who will be the interim coach. Last year, the defense for LSU was horrible. It kept them out of any kind of major contention. Well, this year it's been the exact opposite. That defensive coach has done a hell of a job. And I think they're going to keep this game close. Again, gun to my head, I'm going to take the dog. I don't know if I'm going to take the 10 because that's the best number I can get in the Westgate contest. But if you can see 10.5, 11, which is readily available, I would say take the dog.
I think that is the correct side as well. I made it 10, but I agree with you. Your friend's not the only one who said it. I mean, a lot of people have come out and said, even past players, that they didn't enjoy playing for him. So I think this team will be ready to go, and they've got Bama right in front of them to give their best shot. Let's keep it moving here. This should be a great game as well. Big Ten. Make sure I didn't skip any. Nope, we're going to Iowa City. I was hosting Oregon. If anybody who forgot, Iowa gave Indiana their toughest challenge so far this year. They actually had a chance to win that game, Vinny. Now they get a shot here with Oregon. Oregon's laying 6 on the road, and the total 42.5.
Well, both these teams are only losses to Indiana. Right? I mean, that's
Iowa's only loss?
Yeah, that's Iowa's. Indiana beat both of these teams. I mean. Iowa's got 2 losses, but they have only 1 loss in the conference.
Yes.
So Indiana did beat them. So look, another game that it's a little tricky in terms of the standings in the Big Ten. I think the Big Ten is better positioned for the postseason than the ACC, as we mentioned earlier. But still, this is a good one. Both these teams should be fresh, right? They're both coming in off a bye, Alex. So. Did not play each other last year, but That the one common factor is they both sit. Two common factors, both sit at 4-1, and that one conference loss, Chris, is to the Hoosiers.
This is a weather game. Keep your eye on the weather here. And it's one of those games, I think, were this game to be played in an indoor stadium, I would probably like Oregon.
Right.
But it's not. Total's 42, which Iowa has a reputation, not just a reputation. They control games.
Grind.
You see this 42. When's the last time you saw an Oregon total 42? I mean, I can't even tell you when the last time you saw any kind of game like with Oregon with this low of a total. Shows you what the sharp guys think, who is going to control the pace of the game,
right,
if not the winner of the game. Like I said, my power ratings come higher, but that would be on, clear and fast, no weather. But you're going to get weather in this game. And listen, even though Oregon plays in a lot of bad weather, the bad weather in Iowa is different from the bad weather in Oregon. And, I'm going a long way around here. I'm not going to touch this game in one way or another. My power ratings come higher on Oregon, but I just have a feeling Iowa's going to take this game to the wire.
I do too. I made it 6. I was really hoping I was going to be on Iowa, but I'm going to stay off of it. I do think that they'll be down. They'll be in it till the end as well and take it down to the wire. I mean, their one loss to Iowa State, and that was by 3. Remember, we had Iowa State a lot higher too, and so they just find ways. And Gronowski, he can use his legs. Hasn't really happened with the passing.
No,
yet.
he's not a great passer, but I don't think this is going to be a passing game.
No.
I think it's going to be a grinded out defensive game.
Right, definitely. All right, keeping it right there in the Big Ten, Wisconsin catching 11. Vinny at home against Washington, who is ranked now. They are 24th, according to the AP poll, total 45.
The Badgers have lost 6 straight games. They've covered 2 of them.
They did, yeah.
They've scored
2 weeks ago was competitive. Again.
They've scored 41 points in those 6 games. Think about it. 2 of those they got shut out. Yeah. This program is in a lot of trouble. I mean, obviously, you talk about changes that we've seen, changes to come. Probably going to be more movement than we've seen in quite some time. But both these teams are off a bye as well. So I don't know how do you back the Badgers, Chris? And even with, I know they took 11.5, right? But it's sitting at 11. But is that enough to make you jump in on a team that can't score?
I made it 11, so I'm going to have no opinion in this game. But who was the coach before Fickle? The guy came from Pitt. I forget his name. Was a Wisconsin guy. And they fired him after a couple of years that they were actually playing.
After Bielema?
Yeah, after Bielema. They were playing some pretty good football. And, some of these schools, I think they overthink of what they are in the marketplace. I mean, I'm thinking of Nebraska. For years, they went through coaches who they thought they were going back to the Tom Osborne days. That doesn't figure to happen in Nebraska very often. And I don't think it's all that figured to happen in Wisconsin. Did you look? Is it Christ? Was that his name?
Yes, it was. Paul Christ.
Paul Christ, who I thought was doing a fairly good job there. And they got rid of him, and it's been kind of downhill ever since. But I think you have to recognize what you are, find the right guy. I personally thought Luke Fickell was going to do well here, and I was kind of hoping he did. But he's clearly not. I don't know what the buyout is for him.
The AD came out and said that they're keeping him.
I'm
pretty sure they're, yeah. But remember Malik Washington, quarterback from Maryland that came over, he got hurt early, right? That's the right.
Is that right?
So I think they're kind of giving him that, injury bonus year. Okay, let's give it one more chance. I don't know. But
when he got there, this was going to be more of an aerial attack offensively, right? It never materialized.
No.
Listen, and as far as teams, the difference today with, teams' identity, it can change very quickly because of the transfer portal too, right? There's free agency now in college sports. So, the days of Tom Osborne, it was steady, it was consistent, and players went there for 4 years, and the whole dynamic has changed now, and it's difficult on coaches, it's difficult on players, but you, in this day and age, you not only have to be able to recruit freshmen, you've got to recruit existing players,
Right.
sophomores, juniors, seniors, even seniors to be. Not everybody can do it. Look at Sweeney. Dapple Sweeney's a classic example. He's going to have to really take a hard look of how the business runs today.
To correct myself, Malik Washington's the current quarterback at Maryland. It was Billy Edwards Jr. who was injured in the season opener, who was supposed to help change their offense to find their passing attack.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Do you really want to change that offense? The heyday of Wisconsin when they had Barry Alvarez, I mean, you had 280-pound running backs.
Yes.
You know, forget linemen. You know, they were the brutal team that beat you at the line of scrimmage. Now, I don't see why they went away from that, and they probably shouldn't have, but that was one of those things where they, like that kind of a mantra might work at Mississippi or Florida, but maybe not necessarily at Wisconsin. You're going to face a lot of bad weather games.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm not sure an aerial attack is where you want to go. And like I said, when they had Barry Alvarez, they were consistently one of the best teams in the country. We didn't have the playoff at the time, but they were always a threat to go to the Rose Bowl. They've been to a couple Rose Bowls. I think I even saw one in the one of their games in the Rose Bowl. But I'm not sure that was the right move to make for this kind of a team. But anyway, my daughter has some friends from Wisconsin, so I find myself always sort of rooting for them a little bit. But tough to bet them in this spot, I got to tell you.
Well, we're rooting for them because we need them.
Week after week.
Any team that scores 4 points a game, Vinny, I'm usually rooting for that team, unfortunately.
It's a different rooting interest.
Yeah.
Tell me about this rooting interest, you two. Fort Collins, Colorado. That's where we're going next. UNLV is also going there. Lane 4.5 against Colorado State. Chris, what do we think of the Rebels now coming off of that New Mexico loss?
Well, I made a number 5, so I have no real opinion, but I can tell you this. The public is strong on UNLV. I got some wise guy money on Colorado State, but ticket-wise, I looked, and UNLV is one of the popular teams this week.
Wow.
And hometown, I guess, means something, but they're tossing out that game from last week. We talked about it last week. New Mexico is a pretty good team, flying under the radar.
Yep.
So it wasn't to me a horrible loss. Obviously was a loss, but the public is still on them. But there's some wise guy money on Colorado State, and that's another coaching job that's going to be available at the end of the year. And I'll tell you, if you've been to Fort Collins, it's a beautiful, beautiful town, and you might be able to recruit well there. Yeah.
Well, UNLV 2 in a row, right? Boise State and New Mexico. Colorado State comes in off a bye. This is a pros versus Joe's game. That Chris's point. Professionals took the 6 all the way down, and everything down to 4.5. Rebels with that fast start. Here's another little thing. There may be some distraction. Dan Mullen's name is coming up. Dan Mullen was already a coach in the SEC and a successful coach in the SEC. And with some SEC openings, I hate to say it, but this UNLV, Alex, your alma mater, my kid's alma mater, it's become a stepping stone for coaches. So you wonder if that distraction is playing into look. They got beat by 2 better teams the last couple of weeks. So
well, they got to get their defense.
No, their defense is.
You have to play both sides here, guys. Let's keep it moving. I do want to mention before we go to UCLA, Bruce Marshall is on Air Force plus the 6 against San Jose State.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I like that too. That's going to be on my card. Yeah.
I did not use that, and I just saw that. I'm like, why didn't I use that?
Well, I'll tell you why I almost didn't use it. It's 5.5 in the Westgate contest. And
That's
you want to get to
probably
the
why.
6, but I still might take it anyway.
Remember Air Force, kind of scary on the defensive side as well.
Yeah, real scary. Yeah.
But they can score. But I agree. I wanted that 6, so maybe that is why.
Remember this about the academies, just real quick on the academy. Nobody on the academies is looking at the transfer portal.
I know.
Those are Senate. Those are
It might be
scholarships given to appointed by state senators, right?
Air Force.
They're not
tough to
going
get
in.
into.
Yeah.
By the way, that total 66 and a half or something like that just shows you.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And still might not be high enough. I will mention San Jose State coming off a big win over Hawaii, who's playing very good. I think that was a big win for them, too. So things heating up in the Mountain West as well. Let's go to the Rose Bowl here. UCLA gets a Nebraska team that's kind of limping in here. No starting quarterback in Dylan Raiola for them, but it's been two-way action. I mean, a lot of opinions in this one. We're at a pick, right, Chris? And total 45.
We are at a pick, yeah. This is another one where I'm looking again at Bill Conley. I don't have the number right here, but I can find it in a second.
Oh.
He does not take into account any injuries. You know what he has this game?
Nebraska 6.
Man, you're way off.
What?
14.
Oh, wow.
So now, I personally
Without
think
their quarterback.
Well, like I said, Conley does this, strictly on performance on the field. He takes no consideration of injuries or anything. I do think it's a bit of an overreaction. With the injury, I thought it would be right around pick. And we opened the game 3 because I figured, well, everybody's going to bet UCLA. But they didn't. They come in on Nebraska. But we still have some wise guys who are on UCLA. So I've gotten some good two-way action on this game. There's some. Like I said, I made it pick. I got no opinion in this one, but I think this is going to be a pretty good game, and I'm kind of actually looking forward to seeing it. But Nebraska is another one of those teams. They fired Frank Solich. They expected him to come in and just follow Tom Osborne. What a horrible move that was for this team, and they've been treading water ever since. One other thing to talk about Nebraska, because the Gone family, I follow it pretty closely. I also had a good friend that played for Nebraska. The thing about Nebraska, they had that offense. It was kind of like the old-fashioned kind of option offense, not RPO so much, but every high school in Nebraska played that offense. So Tom Osborne, not that Nebraska is such a populous state. There's some big farm boys there, and there's some pretty good athletes coming out of there. So he had his choice because every damn one of them wanted to play for Nebraska. So he had his choice to pick those. He had a great walk-on program, and he brought in a lot of those linemen, and he redshirted almost every single one of those linemen to beef them up for the next year in their career. He had a great thing going, and Solich was doing the exact same thing. It was okay. It's hard to win a national championship every year like Osborne almost did. But they got rid of Solich, and they got rid of that whole mantra and program of how they were conducting business. And, they've had some decent teams ever since then, but never, I hope, because of the Gone family, I'm rooting for Nebraska. And I hope Rule gets there with this team. But it's going to be impossible to duplicate what Osborne had.
Another tough loss last week by the
USC.
But to USC by Nebraska, right? 27-20 UCLA at Nebraska a year ago. And they come in here, UCLA off the bye. We know about Raiola. By the way, check the status, injury status for UCLA as well. They've got some players, including a quarterback that's banged up now. Again, 2 weeks to get ready, so probably more likely, more of a probable than questionable or doubtful. But this they took everything, and finally starting to see some UCLA money at pick.
Yeah.
2 games that we had skipped on the rundown, but I am just curious if you guys have a thought or opinion on either of them. UConn catching 9.5 against Duke, kind of a sandwich spot. They just beat Clemson, and then who do they have next?
Duke's got Virginia next week.
Yeah. Duke has Virginia up
kind of
next.
A bad spot for Duke, and a big game for Connecticut.
9.5. It's a lot of points. That's a lean for me, definitely. I made it 6.5 without all of those factors. Anything on that, and anything on Nevada at Utah State? We talked about Nevada playing a little more competitive with the quarterback change, catching 9. Or otherwise, we'll go down to Notre Dame.
Yeah, I got no opinion in the Nevada game. Jim Moore has done a hell of a job at Connecticut. They're bowl eligible.
6-3, yeah.
And I mean, Duke's much better team, but boy, that's a terrible spot for Duke and a great spot for Connecticut.
Yeah, Duke the last couple of years, and they won this matchup, but this is a better Connecticut team. Mm-hmm. By the way, Diaz, his name has come up for some jobs too.
I'm hoping it comes up for the Penn State job. That's who I like.
So just bear that in mind as well. The other game, Alex, Nevada, and Utah State, they did not play a year ago, but all but two of these games have seen the under cash in this this year. So Nevada plays in more under games than seeing a total go over. Just a little bit of an aside.
That's good because I think I'm taking the points there with Nevada too. So that'll help me out a little bit, keeping it close, lower scoring. Let's go to Notre Dame here. This should be a great matchup at South Bend. Navy catching 27.5. So we've kind of got a good number here. Where has this? I want to open this up. 26 up to 27.5 here for the Fighting Irish. They already have 2 losses. They cannot afford to slip up or even a shot in the playoffs. 54.5 is the total in this one, Vinny.
97 meetings between these schools. Right, they go back to 2 generations, and the Navy's won 13 times. The last one was 9 years ago, 10 seasons ago, 2016. Notre Dame controlling their own destiny. They've got marquee attraction too when it comes to the committee. They lose another game because obviously they're not going to have any kind of playoff game. They can't lose another game if they have any hope of getting to the post. Will they get in if they run the table? Probably, because of the run that they've been on, and they corrected all those things that went wrong in those first couple of games.
I went back and looked at this game because this is another one that really stood out to me from Bill Conley's numbers. You know what he made us? 15. I think that's way too low, but I do have to say this. I went back and looked, and I think Notre Dame really this year has padded their resume with home wins and home blowouts. On the road, they're not as good. Now, of course, they are home this game, but they're playing a Navy team that can score.
Yeah.
This team's got a pretty, I love their quarterback. They got I talked about it a million times. Those are tough kids playing at Navy. They're not going to surrender to anybody. And I know Roger Staubach isn't walking through that door for Navy, but it's still a pretty good team. And like I said, that's another one. Conley's numbers really jumped out at me. My power ratings don't indicate a play for Navy.
What are your power ratings? What'd you come up with?
Well, before I didn't have a chance to go through, but my pure power rating before looking at Conley and making some adjustments would be like 30.
Wow.
So I mean, I'm right there with the number.
Fun.
The number's not jumping out at me either way. But even when I made that number, I think, boy, that just seems a little too high. I'm not sure Notre Dame is that much better than a tough team like Navy. I'm just not sure they are.
I made it 20, Chris. I didn't use this, though, because BC kind of gave Notre Dame a scare last week, right? They let them hang around too long. So it was like, can 2 lower teams like this cover back-to-back against Notre Dame? I'm not sure how Marcus Freeman will have his guys and what kind of practices they had this week, but it's definitely to Navy here.
Wait for the 28.
There you go.
4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Another one in the Westgate contest, 26.5. If it was 28, I'd probably jump in.
Yeah, not enough there. Last one on the board before we take a break, and then we will get to some NFL for the second half of this show. But wanted you guys' opinion on this one. SDSU right now, the top of the Mountain West, going to Hawaii. Looks like it's 6.5 at most shops. There's 1.7 out there at Caesars. If you do like the dog at home, total 48.5. Chris, did you like anything? Or were your numbers higher is the other question.
No. I've been on San Diego State for a while. I love this team, particularly on their defense. I only made the number 6. I think Hawaii is pretty tough. Pretty decent home field advantage. And I know San Diego State. I tell you what, not that I recommend college teasers. I don't. But by the way, you could bet at 6-point teaser here, even money in college football. We got the best teaser price in town. But this one might be a teaser because, I mean, I think San Diego State is going to be hard to score on. But, listen, we're not giving away money in this joint. So even if you can get, even, a pick on point spread on San Diego State, Hawaii definitely could jump up and beat them. But this defense is just so good for San Diego State. But I only made the number 6.
I was even a little lower than that. Oh, 5.5, so not crazy, but Hawaii did make my card, so with the 7.
7 at Westgate, yeah.
Yeah.
27-24 at SDSU a year ago. The last 4 meetings head-to-head have been one-score games, these two.
Thank you, Vinny.
Again, you look at this and you go, wait, it's the Mountain West, San Diego. We've talked about Virginia being alone the top of the ACC. You have SDSU, not Boise, who this team beat and have the tiebreaker. So maybe a 1-game difference, right, in the standings, but it's actually 2 with that head-to-head.
Hawaii playing some good football right now.
They're good.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I did talk about it last week after they got that 6 win.
Mm-hmm.
I think I did. But then they fell short to San Jose State. Now they're back at home. I think they'll be ready to go for this one. But
Good team at home, too. Yeah.
yes.
Better
yes.
at home.
We do have a college poll going. Here's what it is. If you guys want to get your answer in your mind before we give out the results. But Weekend Warriors, which plus money team gets a win in this weekend's ranked matchup? Is it BYU plus 290 against Texas Tech, Missouri plus 210 against A&M? Is it Iowa plus 195 against Oregon? Those are the 3 choices. So we're going to see what anybody who is watching us live thought and picked when we get back from this quick break. And we'll also jump into Week 10 in the NFL, and we're going to start in Germany this week. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Heading to Las Vegas to catch the action at Allegiant Stadium? Skip the traffic and the sky-high room rates of the Strip. Book your stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. The South Point is located just 7 miles away from the stadium, and it's a quick trip up the freeway, making it an affordable rideshare or taxi ride. And don't worry about getting here when you land in Vegas. We offer a convenient airport shuttle to get your getaway off to a stress-free start. Shuttles are also available on Raider game days for a small fee. So whether you're rooting for your team or seeing your favorite band in concert at Allegiant Stadium, South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa is your ticket to all the excitement. Are you ready to lock in your bets and cash in on the games this weekend? Get weekly football winners from Alex White, Chris Andrews, and Vinny Magliulo.
I did take the dog 3.5.
I'm going to stay with the Colts here. That's definitely going to be one of my plays.
If the Bears have turned the corner, they have to take care of business in this game.
Yes.
Tune in for behind-the-book perspectives you won't find anywhere else.
Well, if you're looking to bet the under, you're going to get a better number.
The wise guys are certainly not going to play the favorites.
I know if it hits 7, don't blink. Maybe that's what bettors are waiting for.
Every NFL matchup, every college game that matters, the spreads, the stats, and the smart money plays.
Is there a way to bet against both teams?
Get your winning edge with Football Frenzy, streaming on YouTube every Friday at noon Pacific.
Well, the results are in for who all of our live listeners picked as their weekend warrior to get a little plus money price here to upset a ranked team. The options were BYU at plus 190 at Texas Tech, the 22nd ranked team Missouri plus 210 at Texas A&M, and then Iowa plus 195 versus Oregon. That is the only, oh no, Missouri's at home too. So those two are both home teams. But the winner, 52% of the chat, is on BYU to get the win over Texas Tech this weekend. But that is the best price, too, plus 290. So maybe they were going for value there.
Yeah.
All right.
But who would you guys have picked if you had to of those 3?
I think we
I would have said Iowa.
Probably.
Yeah.
I just think it's a bad spot for Oregon.
Bad spot. Iowa's a good football team.
Yeah.
They really are. I think if they wouldn't have lost to Iowa State, too, even though it's out of conference, but just a one loss to Indiana.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, you have a very long tenured coach in this day and age.
Yeah.
And they keep, to Chris's point earlier, like when we were talking about Wisconsin, they've managed to kind of hold the course and recruit and transfer this, the system, their system, right? So it's interesting.
I will just say there was not a bad answer in that because they are all good football teams. They're all ranked.
Yeah.
BYU still undefeated, so we'll see what kind of fight they can give this Texas Tech team. And then Missouri. I mean, if they weren't without Bo Pribula, we'd be talking about
It'd
this.
be a different story.
I mean, they'd be 3.5 there, and maybe it's tough for A&M to prepare for the backup. I don't know. We'll see. So thanks for playing along with us. We will have an NFL poll going as well if it is not already up. But let's get into the NFL Week 10, and we get to start in Germany. I will just mention 4 teams on a bye: Cincinnati, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and the Tennessee Titans. So moving forward to Week 10, we're going to start off with Vinny because I usually throw him the international games here. Germany will be the spot, and it is the Falcons and the Colts. Open 6.5, still at 6.5, and total 48.5. Curious what your handle's like on these international games as well.
Well, Alex, a couple things, and for this one in particular, they did take the points early, right? Chris put the numbers up on Monday morning, and they
Sunday
the
night.
game Sunday night for the pros went down to 5.5, and then has come back up the ladder. Now the Colts are a little busy with the at the trade deadline, right? We're going to start seeing how the trade deadline impacts some of these teams. The thing about this game, bettors adjust. Alex, and I think. What do bettors adjust to? A lot of things, including time changes. The beauty here at the South Point is this is a 24-hour, obviously a 24-hour overall operation, but the sports book never closes. The sports book's open 24 hours. So even for the locals and the visitors that are here, it's convenient, but also it's a 3-shift town, and so workers that work outside of the sports book and work at other resorts know that they can come in and make their place too. So, I'm not going to say that a 6:30 a.m. game handles the same, obviously, as the primetime game on Sunday, but everything's going to that. But bettors will adjust, right, Chris? And we've seen that consistently now with the European games.
Well, ever since we've worked for the Gaunt's, it's always been a 24-hour sports book. We're the only ones in town. Not anymore, but we're the only ones that have been in town for 50 years doing it that way. So we built a pretty good clientele over the years.
Right.
So, we will be open all night, and we have our, kind of like the A-team of supervisors coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. And, we'll be rocking and ready to go. And our handle so far has been very good on this game. Like I said, or like Vinny said, first wave came in on the dog. Second wave's come in on the favorite. I made the number 6.5, so I'm right there. The thing I would say about the Colts, I think we really have to watch this because they've been blowing everybody out. They didn't blow out the Steelers last week, but they did have, 5 turnovers, whatever it was, 6 turnovers?
6 turnovers.
It only
6 to
lost,
1,
and still made it a game. So do you take a good thing out of that or a bad thing? Now, the other thing, I'd like to look at QBRs. And Jones's QBR was like abysmal last week. And I don't know, did somebody just finally look this team in the eye and beat them? Maybe. I don't know. We'll find out during the course of the rest of the year. But Atlanta has been got to be the most inconsistent team in the NFL this year. I mean, there's weeks they don't show up. Then the next week, all of a sudden, they look like world beaters. So I don't know. Like I said, I made the game 6.5. I'm going to root for whoever the hell we need in this game because I have no real opinion and I have no idea what to do with this one.
This is not new. I mean, the Falcons have been one of the most frustrating teams. Jeff and I used to joke about it all the time on Sundays because, am I really doing it? Am I taking the points with them again? They'll find a way to lose. I think the number's just right, too. I lean to the under a little bit, and I made it 47, so it's not a big enough difference to jump in. But also those international games, I kind of lean into the under there, so...
Yeah.
Pass for me.
A lot of those go under.
Yeah.
For sure.
Kind of sleepy wake up right, and then they just start slow and stay that way. But Falcons were competitive last week, and I think we had mentioned we like that one too, them to keep it close against the Patriots. Let's go to the next game here. We're going to MetLife. Chris, I'll have you start this one off so I can give Vinny a little bit of a break here from talking about this Jets team that were sellers.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you. No comment.
Poor Vinny. Poor Vinny.
2-point favorite for the Browns on the road. Is it an overreaction? But the Jets did sell a lot this past week. Total 38. No surprise there.
They didn't just sell a lot. They sold key people.
Yes,
I mean, I didn't know how much to adjust the Jets. I don't know if I over-adjusted or under-adjusted, but I gave them a 2-point adjustment.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, I'm not sure that's enough. Probably not. But anyway, with the adjustment, my numbers come to the Browns 2.5. It's 2 or 2.5. That's certainly not enough to play. I mean, you look at the Browns. You really want to lay points on the road with this Browns team? Is that what you want to do? I don't think I want to do that, but I'm not jumping in on this Jets team either. I mean, I really do think the Jets made the right moves considering where they're at.
Agreed.
Now, I also will say this. They have made the right moves in the past going into drafts and free agency and have screwed that up. So they're going to screw it up again? I don't want to see my.
Take it easy.
I don't want to see my good friend hang himself. I really don't. So I really do. I think a good team out of New York has to be good for the NFL, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, we're still waiting for the Jets. They made the right moves. Can they follow it up by making more good right moves? Look at some of the quarterbacks. Sam Darnold is out there now playing pretty darn good football. Yeah. I mean, even Geno Smith, they got rid of him. I mean, he wasn't great last night, but he's had a decent career ever since then. Oh, man. I mean, that Vinny could probably tell you a lot more than I can about those kind of players. But they've had a chance to do well, and they haven't executed properly. But as far as this point in time, I think they made the right moves for the franchise.
They had to Chris's point. I mean, not only did they get rid of, you have to remember this. Quincy Williams benched. They benched him this week. He's not starting. Why? Because he's not getting the job done. They flat out tell people have to be called out. I mean, the thing about the Jets, it's an organizational thing. We've talked about this. What do I mean by that? It's not just the players. I mean, but you have to start. A team on the field is the end product of a business. Okay, what's that? How do you base that on? You base that starts with ownership, then goes through management. They've just made poor decisions. Absolutely no patience. And I will tell you, I was born and raised there. That's the most impatient city in the world. You have to win. You can't not just have to win today. You have to win yesterday.
Right.
You have the expectations, particularly of quarterbacks, that it has to be immediate. Chrissy, it's not so long ago we would say they don't have anyone. They carried a tablet, but they were carrying the clipboard forever. It's these players now. They're developed better and younger. And, there are particularly quarterbacks that are able to come in as rookies, as second-year players, and produce and then progress. The Jets have yet to find that player. And there is no patience. Same thing with the Giants, which is, a little scary. Dart's done a great job, but he's at some point, he's taking too many hits, too. Yeah. So there's not a lot of patience. And you know what? Management, they cave to the fan base. So it's the Jets. They had to make those moves. Now, what they do with them, to Chris's other point, is you've got to make good decisions. And in order to make good decisions, you have to have good qualified football people making those decisions. They've not had them. General managers, president of football operations, and things. So it's going to be a while before the Jets can turn this around. But when you have wholesale change, when you made the most moves at the trade deadline, and now you've got bench. You got to remember, Quincy Williams was a Pro Bowler a few seasons. You're not doing it. Get it. That's the statement that has to be made, because now players have to fight for their jobs.
Right.
Before we move on, I want to say, going back probably before Alex was born, a New York quarterback who I always felt was underrated. And I said, how can a New York quarterback winning Super Bowls be underrated? Phil Simms.
Absolutely.
He was underrated.
Yeah.
This guy, he should be in the Hall of Fame. How can that be? But, that just shows you how tough this team. I remember Phil Simms on one of the shows. I think he was on ESPN at the time. He says, hey, I'm walking down the street. I expect everyone to pat me on the back. Hey, congratulations. You know what they all say? You going to do this again or what?
That's right.
I don't know. We're going to try.
Expectations are ridiculous.
Coming off a bye, though, right? The Jets are.
Yeah, they are.
And coming up a win against the Bengals. So
against the Bengals,
better game for Justin Fields. We'll see what they can do in this one. Kind of up against it without some of their best players there now. So pass for everybody and kind of suggested to pass on that. A lot of unknowns there with the Browns and the Jets. Let's move on to Carolina, who's playing good football. They're above 500.
Man.
They're laying 5.5 at home against the Saints, and the total 38.5. Carolina coming off a big win, Chris, over the Packers. But is this a little bit of an over adjustment here against the Saints?
I don't think it is, but I can tell you the wise guys think it is. The wise guys are all over New Orleans in this game. My power ratings come to 6.5. Now, we've talked about it on the show for a month or more than that. Carolina was kind of sneaking up there. They're not that bad. They're a decent team. I mean, they're decent. All of a sudden, you're looking around. They're right in the middle of the playoff hunt. And I still think they got a lousy quarterback. So I think, you go up and down that roster. And there's another team that made some very poor decisions management-wise. But all of a sudden, they are playing some good football. Now, I know they've benefited from a very weak schedule, too. But I think the team is not bad. They're pretty decent. I made this number 6.5, so I disagree with the wise guys on this one. I like Carolina. I don't know if this would be one of my plays, but it's close. I hate to go against the wise guys in a spot like this, but this seems like a very typical wise guy spot.
Yeah.
Betting against a team that just had a very big win against a team that's, but I just think right now this New Orleans team is just terrible and trying to find its footing. And I like Kellen Moore. I thought he'd do well with this team, but I don't see much improvement out of this team.
Well, and they made some trades too.
Yeah, that was just going to say, quarterback change for the last game, and then some trades at the deadline. Carolina, I mean, think about this. And two different conferences, obviously, but Carolina's in the play right now. It's fine for they're in a playoff position. The Ravens are not.
Yeah. How's that?
I mean, it's
just like we saw in the preseason.
Just as predicted, right? But when it got to 6, it was a take, and I can understand. I see that.
I kind of leaned that way. I was thinking like the Sharps and kind of jump off of Panthers now. And I liked them last week, 13.5, and you liked them too against the Packers. Win that one outright. Curious, Chris, are those your updated numbers, Carolina? Just so looking ahead, kind of be cautious with Carolina. 23rd offense efficiency.
I don't have my glasses
and
on, so I'm going to say yes because
defensive.
I gave those to Ryan on Tuesday. So,
but they're running the football well. You mentioned Bryce Young, not
my favorite guy, no.
but he is, taking care of the ball. And then they're playing some pretty good defense there. 20th with your
couple of good running backs. Good
yes.
point, Alex.
Yes, very good there. All right, division matchup here. We already saw this one once on Thursday Night Football. Dolphins put up a fight against the Bills, but we've seen some changes from both of these teams. One going one direction, one going the other, right? And now the Bills are a 9.5-point favorite on the road against Miami, and the total 50. Chris.
If I said I like the Bills, they'd take away my wise guy card. Not that I have a wise guy card, but they would take it, even the thought of it. I still thought they should be about a 10-point favorite, so not really a play for me. It's just hard laying that kind of number. But this Miami team, boy, they're just not finding much footing at all right now. I mean, I think it's a team that probably everybody on that roster is looking over their shoulder to think if they're going to be traded or cut or whatever.
Right.
I guess the trade deadline won't happen. But I think a lot of these guys are fighting for their jobs on a weekly basis, but I don't know if they have the talent. I don't know if they have the coaching. I don't know if they have anything else. The Bills have been a bit disappointing. We expected them to easily clinch the home field advantage on their way to the Super Bowl. They have not done that. Haven't even won their division. Right. Not even ahead in their division. But I wonder if they turned the corner last week. So right now, this would not be one of my plays, but it would be favorite or pass for me here.
I think professionals are waiting to see 10. And will it get there from straight bets? Probably not. Probably from the exotics, teasers and parlays, particularly money line parlays and things like that. You may see it. Alex, you mentioned it. Yeah, the Dolphins gave the Bills a tough game. They were winning the game up in Buffalo, and they had a chance to come and tie or and try to almost take the game to overtime. And Bills have been a little bit inconsistent. I mean, I know they're coming. They had the big win against the Chiefs, which it's during the regular season, which they typically do. But then, of course, there's a different scenario in the postseason. But Dolphins did make a trade. They probably one of their better defensive secondary players that traded to Philly right before the trade deadline. So we're gonna need the Dolphins in this game, even if there is buyback at 10. There's no doubt about it.
AFC South matchup next, and it's a meaningful one because Jacksonville is ahead of Houston in the standings, but no C.J. Stroud for the Texans here at home, and that's why you're seeing the Jags as a 1.5-point favorite, or maybe one, depending on where you are. 37.5, a low total. We've talked about Houston's defense all year long. Now they're number one in your defensive efficiency numbers there, Chris. But anything for you in this one? It's kind of tough to handicap without C.J. Stroud here.
What do you adjust for C.J. Stroud?
Yes.
What do you adjust? I know what I would. I'm looking about 6 points.
Wow.
Which would put it right about where the number is right now. Because I think with Stroud in there, I made the Texans 5.5. Yep. That they're not a great offensive team. And I love CJ, but I think, that offensive line has been, really hurting this team for the last 2 years. But now without CJ, and Mills is like okay.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever going to be a starter for any, serious Super Bowl contender, but he's a decent backup. But should Jacksonville be a favorite on the road? This is still that Houston defense. You mentioned it, and I got them at the top of the rankings. For me, it'd be Houston or pass, but this is a pass for me.
Yeah, you still may see this game go to pick too. I think, right, Chris? I not a real shock here. Defense. I always say defense travels. Well, this one they don't have to travel.
Travel across the street.
Lowest, one of the lowest totals. It's certainly the lowest total of the week. It's one of the lowest totals of the year. So, kind of tells you that it figures to be certainly not going to. I don't anticipate it being a wide open game. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I would not be surprised if more money continues to come in, even without Stroud. If it comes in on Houston.
I know you guys don't love totals, but would you be cautious with the total this low in the NFL?
Oh, yeah, you always have special teams or a turnover that can, it seems like, again, I'm not a total player, but it seems like when you bet a game under, you got to win it. Yeah. If you bet a game over, you could always get lucky and win it. That seems to be the difference for me. And you wonder why the public likes to bet overs.
Right, exactly. The Raiders defense, pretty good job against Jacksonville's offense in that first half. Actually, they really just had that field goal that set the record at the end of the first half, and that was all the points. Then some injuries then kind of opened up on both sides, but I think this Houston defense is really going to slow them down. Let's go to the next one on the board here. The Vikings coming off a huge win over the Lions, not just for the division, but a big win for them with J.J. McCarthy coming back from injury. Lamar Jackson is also back. So we got a game here with the Ravens. Vinny laying 4 on the road in Minnesota, total 49.
Yeah, they laid 3.5, Alex. And, you figure at some point that the Ravens are going to get things right. Well, maybe they have a bit healthier. Obviously, Lamar Jackson being back. But this Viking team is they're tough. I know they've had some injuries as well. So, look, but everybody's got injuries here. So, at this particular point in the season, 4, pretty key number here. I think overall we're going to probably see some action on both sides in this game. I don't think it'll be a one-sided story. And then the total on the game at a 49, which has been bet up. It's been bet up a couple of points off the opener, Chrissy.
Yeah, 47 is what we open it. I like the dog here. I believe in KOC. I think the guy is a good coach, and I think they made the right move at quarterback. I mean, the kid just had to get up there and play with a healthy team. And there's still injuries there, and Baltimore finally did get their full defense. They were missing as many as 7 guys defensively. Now they're back, but I don't think this game should have been higher than 3 myself. I mean, this is a good home team, a good team, period. And 4, man, anything over 3 on the road, that's a mountain to climb, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I've used that analogy a couple of times, but this is definitely one of those. This is definitely going to be a play of mine. I'm on the Vikings.
A little surprised. Oh, sorry. A little surprised. The opener of 3.5. I thought there was more of a likelihood that they would take the 3.5 than lay it. A little surprised that we got to 4.
I made it 2.
Okay.
Maybe I'm not. I didn't
made
adjust,
it 2.5.
But the Ravens are back in my top 10, so I think I adjusted them up enough here. So I'll be on the dog as well. Really impressed with Brian Flores. It seemed like to start the season, the OCs around the league kind of figured out his defense. He gave Jared Goff nothing, right, in that offense. So let's see if he can keep it going here against the Ravens. But we got to go to Tampa Bay here. Great matchup because the Pats come in here on a 6-game winning streak. New England is
the first place Pats.
the first.
How about that?
They didn't have to suffer very long since losing Tom Brady, did they?
No.
But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers love this team, leading in their division, coming off a bye week that I'm sure they needed because we've been talking about the injuries. 2.5 for Tampa Bay, Chris, in this one. Total 48.
I think the injuries are a big story in this game. How much have those injured players recovered?
Well,
I'm not sure they have.
No, we're not going to have Mike Evans back still.
Right.
No, Mike Evans is going to be gone.
think Godwin
still
either.
gone. So I've lowered my ratings on Tampa Bay, even though they're a good team. They keep winning. This number is 2.5 with juice on the favorite, which usually means we're going to get to 3 at some point. I got to tell you, I'm not going to put this on my list because there's no real 3s out there. But if there was an abundance of 3s, it would be on my list. But I don't want to give it out. I don't want to give out numbers that don't exist. But if you're out there playing, if you see a 3 in this game, I would definitely take the Patriots plus a 3. Tampa keeps winning a lot of close games. Patriots just keep winning. And I've loved Mike Vrabel ever since the Steelers cut him, 100 years ago. I thought they were nuts for cutting him. Went to New England and won a couple Super Bowls, and he should have been the MVP in that one Super Bowl, but they gave it to Brady, of course. But I think that I love Vrabel, and he's doing a great job as coach, which is not surprising to me at all. Now, Drake May, that's surprising the hell out of me. I never thought he would be this good. But he is pretty good, and he's played well, and it seems like he's getting better.
One of the better games of the week, I think, in terms of, from a curiosity standpoint. You watch 2 first-place teams, right? And I think we're going to learn a lot about the Patriots this week. We've learned a lot so far. We know that the Buccaneers are gamers, and they've certainly had to show their depth on the roster, given all the injuries and things like that. So, look, this is a game that we've seen support for both teams, and I think it's going to be one of the more balanced betting games of the weekend. And this one here, this is my, if there's a 3 in this game, don't blink. It won't. I
saved that
last.
line for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you.
I will just say, to your point, Chris Godwin is out again.
Yeah.
Bucky Irving as well. So that definitely hurts. Hassan Reddick, who was playing fantastic for them. So, there's some injuries. Stevenson's still out for the Patriots, but we've seen their rookie running backs really step up.
There'll be plenty of Patriot fans down there, too. It's another stadium where certain teams draw quite a bit of visitor action.
I made it a little higher. I'm above 4 here, so it was a lean to the favorite for me, but I've been high on that Tampa Bay team. Don't know if I am going to play it just yet. Going to Chicago. Interesting one, and we talked about this one with Dwayne Colucci because Chicago, the Bears, they're laying 4.5, playing good football. The Giants, injuries, we got to talk about them as well, but Jackson Dart still playing good for this team. Total 46.5. Any Strong feel on this one?
Yeah, I think 4.5 is too high. That's another one. It's just number has gotten too high. Open 3.5. We're up to 4.5. I mean, so evidently the wise guys are in the favorite. There are a lot of injuries with the Giants. But still, I know my good friend Ryan McCormick was not happy with my defensive ratings when I put the Bears at the bottom of the list. But their defense has just been terrible. Now, they have been winning a lot of games. But 4.5 is a lot of points to lay with a bad defense. I'm going to be on the Giants in this one, plus a 4.5.
I will say, though, Ryan McCormick, I think he said that was too high. I think he likes his team to get the win, but still 4.5,
okay. Glad to see he has rationality.
Yes, yes.
Ryan, could you please turn Chrissy's microphone on? The Giants, I'll tell you what, you have to appreciate the way they're gamers and how they battle. And darts, look, I still think he's taking a lot of hits, but you know something, he's really energized this team, and they continue to battle. They fight the entire game. Bears have found ways though to get the job done and find themselves fighting for a playoff spot as well. So I all that said, there's going to be more money on the Bears in this game. There's no doubt about it. We're going to need the Giants again.
We've got to switch it to some NFC West. We got two matchups coming, but I mean, we got another NFC one in between there. But let's go the Seahawks hosting the Cardinals. The Cardinals got a big win with Jacoby Brissett playing quarterback. He'll be the starter again. They beat the Cowboys. Going to Seattle, though, one of the top teams right now in a lot of people's metrics, efficiency-wise. 6.5 most places. You guys are at 7 here. This is a play I already gave out for Seattle, and I'll tell you, I always get very nervous sending out the plays with favorites instead of dogs, right? But laid the 6.5 here with Seattle. I just think they're the better team on both sides of the ball. Opinion for either of you two in this?
I made it number 7. I opened at 7, and the first guy came in, wise guy, a guy I really respect a lot, took the 7.
Took the 7, okay.
So I've been at 6.5 until this morning. We finally went back to 7. Where we kind of got caught napping a little bit was on the money line. We had a lower money line. I think we had it as low as 280. We're up to 320 now with the money line. I mean, this is just a good team. This Seattle team, boy, I'll tell you what. I mean, this is a Super Bowl contender. I got to tell you, they are good defensively. Right now, Sam Darnold, the knock on him, and it's not just a knock. I mean, it's the truth. He doesn't protect the ball well enough. But he's protecting it a little better. You know, and you figure, what is he, like 28 years old? He's kind of figured this out a little bit. You got to hold on to the ball.
Right.
Fumbles and interceptions. But that defense can kind of rescue you, even if you do make a mistake, which every quarterback does. But this defense is awful tough. I think, they have good coaching, a decent enough offense, and just a terrific defense. This is a very viable team. But I think 7 was a good number. So, I don't know if I'm going to be rooting for you or not, but right now we got good 2A action. I'm sure the small stuff will be on Seattle.
This is a toggler, right? Laying 6.5, taking 7. So, so you could say overall, you have action on both sides. You do. Just again, another one you don't want a number to fall. But all that said, quarterbacks. Let's talk about that for a second, right? Jacoby Brissett. This team, I think, has responded to Jacoby Brissett, and
yes.
So but now, here's the thing: Kyler Murray, is he listed as the backup for this game?
No,
he's not. Right, which tells you.
No, Ryan, if I'm not mistaken.
My point is, there's something. This management.
Yeah, he's on the IR now.
Yeah, he's on the, but he's got a foot injury. I mean, this management. This is not the management, the GM, and the coach that drafted him. So I think if there's a way to get out from that contract somehow, and they may have to eat some of it down the road sometime, maybe it's the off season or whatever the case may be. Look, I think that there's a change going to happen there, and in Seattle, let's talk about it. Darnold, right? Again, we talked about it with the Jets earlier. You know, one of the best things that happened to Sam Darnold too was when he was the backup in San Francisco, and credit him for being a student and studying and making it work, because it worked for him in Minnesota, and look at the job that he's doing here.
He said of all people, it was Brock Purdy that actually really
Really?
helped him see it
Yeah.
differently. And then he went to Minnesota. Yeah, you're right.
So-
And it's just been great.
But this one here, a toggler going back for laying 6.5 and taking 7. A little moved to the under by about a 1.5 or so.
Yeah, I was on Gil Alexander's show when Kyler Murray got drafted. And I said at the time, they are nuts. The guy's like 5'8". You cannot play football. And I remember Gil being one. I mean, I don't know if he's listening, but still one of my best friends in the world. But a lot of the followers made it sound like I was a caveman. I said, what am I, a knuckle draggler? I'm not a knuckle dragger. I said, but I'm just telling you, he cannot play football in the NFL. I said it, I don't know how many times. He'll have the best highlight reel in the NFL, but he's not the kind of quarterback you can win anything serious with. He's just not that kind of a quarterback. And Vinny talked about it. Are they looking to get rid of him? Because this was not the coach. This was not the general manager that drafted him. I got to tell you, coach, I don't know that much about the general manager, but coach, I like Gannon. I think he's done a pretty darn good job as coach. And I don't think he likes having Kyler Murray having it tied to him. And Jacoby Brissett, again, I don't think you're going to be, if you're a Super Bowl contender, Jacoby Brissett is probably not your guy. But he is maybe the best backup in the NFL right now. The guy has been solid for like, it's like an 8 or 9 year career. This guy's a damn good quarterback. So did they respond to him? I think they did. I think the team has a lot of confidence in him, and I would not have confidence in Kyler Murray.
I get the feeling Kyler Murray would be a good baseball player. Maybe he should switch it over.
Yeah.
There you
Right?
Of course, you'd have to give up that $50 million a year he's making as quarterback.
Yeah. Well, he might not have a choice, Chris. So
He
maybe,
might not.
maybe we could go back to that. But a lot of weapons around Brissett right now.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the post game with Trey McBride, he works his butt off and humble.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I saw a lot from him.
Trey McBride?
Yeah.
Like that
Did
kid a
you
lot,
see that? Yeah.
That was my point about Murray. He's not even the backup. Like that's when I
Yes.
posted that. It's like it's a foot injury. Okay, it's foot, but I don't know.
Yeah. Makes
Something's
sense.
amiss there.
Could definitely be at least the backup there. Well, we think. Who knows? But let's go ahead. We got a few more on the slate, 4 total. Let's go to Washington. It's a mess right now for the Commanders. A lot of injuries, including their star quarterback in Jaden Daniels. So the Lions come into this one. The look ahead was like 3.5. Now we're at 8 here because of the injuries. And the Lions need a bounce back spot because they dropped 1 to the Vikings. What are you thinking in this? 8 is a big number on the road.
Huge number on the road. But again, it would be hard for me to bet Washington in this spot. Detroit coming off that loss, I think they're the kind of team that would respond to an ugly loss, really. And they kind of fought hard and all that. But, I kind of like Detroit in this. I'm not going to lay this kind of number. But
Forgot to bring up the playoff revenge.
oh, God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
The last time these two saw each other,
In Detroit.
Lions couldn't stop the Commanders, right? And lost after getting the 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, forgot about that.
might have mentally circled this one, but
Yeah, I think they did take the 9 too, though.
They did, yeah.
Which
Sharp guys are on the dog,
but I don't. The Lions, I don't know. They play in spurts. In one quarter they look like this is the team that's going to be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl, and then the next quarter they look like they're going to struggle to make the playoffs. I mean, there's a lot of talent. Don't get me wrong, and the talent ratio certainly favors them. Public will be on the Lions, and the perception is reality, right? No Daniels, so the public will be on the Lions. Professionals, as Chris indicated, you could see by the fact that they took the 9 already. It's down to 8.
I just had to go back and look because I knew I'd been burned by the Commanders a lot. So I did have them against the Chiefs. They got that win, but then I bet them 3 weeks in a row after that. They lost to Ryan's Bears. They got revenge there. They didn't keep it competitive against Dallas or the Chiefs. So I'm done with Washington for a little bit. And they just aren't the team that they were last year and have a lot of injuries on both sides that they really can't overcome right now.
The other one I would ask you is if they maybe figured out Cliff Kingsbury's offense a little bit.
Maybe.
I I think that's something we need to watch out for.
True. Very true. Well, and they haven't had some of their best wide receivers.
No, they have. Well,
For
yeah,
a lot
that
of
might
it.
be part of it
Terry
too. Yeah.
McLaurin was really the main part.
The coach that did draft Kyler Murray.
Yeah, right.
Touche, Vinny. Full circle.
Well, you're rubbing salt in the wounds now, Vinny.
Well, listen, I'm trying to distract my mind from the Jets conversation earlier.
3 more games. I'm curious, did you see Jeff Fogel's article that went out, I think, Tuesday morning after the game and the Cardinals covered? It was about the NFC West and how all 4 of those teams have been covering a lot. They've been a pretty good team to bet on, pretty good against the spread. And looking at your numbers, it makes a lot of sense there because we got Seahawks top 10 in both, 10th offense, 4th defense. Rams, 5th offense, 13th defense. Seattle, 9th offensive efficiency, 16th defense. And then Cardinals struggling offensively a little bit, 26th, but 3rd defensively still. So really good division overall. I say all that because we do have one more matchup between the two. The Niners got the first one in LA. The Rams have a chance to get that little home revenge here. They are a favorite of 4.5 on the road and the total 49.5. I don't think we're getting Brock Purdy. I don't know if we really are for the rest of the season. Shanahan said he was going to linger. He'll never be 100% again this year. So kind of just riding with Mac Jones here. Thoughts on this one? Now it has moved to the favorite. Vinny, you want to start it?
Well, I think there's not a drop off with Mac Jones and Purdy. It's not. I mean, he's been more than capable, and they've responded to him. So good matchup here. They've bet the Rams in this revenge spot, right? They laid 3.5. They laid 4, so we're up to 4.5 here. I don't think it's going to be a one-way traffic, though, Alex. I think we'll see some 49er money. These matchups between these two teams always get a lot of interest, and we wind up with it's not as big a decision as some of the games that we talked about this morning. There'll probably be a bigger decision. Doesn't mean there's going to be more money, but there'll be a bigger decision in probably in the Saints-Panthers game than in this game, even though this game will have much more money bet. Right, Chris? I mean, it's just how the bettors react.
This will be a great afternoon game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great net slot. The Lions will be a good game, too, because we have a lot of money on that game. But I think this number's gotten out of hand. Again, you're talking about a 4.5-point road favorite against a team that covers an awful lot. And listen, I got nothing but respect for the Rams. Matthew Stafford, terrific. Just a great lineup up and down, offensively and defensively. But I think if you talk about Sam Darnold, he learned a lot from Brock Purdy. Well, where did Brock Purdy learn it from?
That's right.
He learned it from this coaching staff. This is a good organization. And I know they haven't won a Super Bowl in a while, but they've been to a couple. And I think it's a darn good team. And 4.5 at home, I think, is really an over-adjustment. It wasn't an over-adjustment. The players came in and laid 3.5 and 4. That's why we're at 4.5. But I think 4.5 is too high. I'm definitely going to be on the dog in this one.
Pretty shocked with this total being so high, right? That is definitely more for the Rams, who do play at a faster pace, a little bit more explosive, but the Niners want to slow it down and grind it out, especially with some of their key pieces missing. It's a high total.
One of the things I was looking for in my offensive rankings is how many plays, successful plays,
right,
runs and completed passes. And I want to say the Rams, I don't know, was it last week or what? Had like 60, which is one of the highest of the year. And it was over 60, maybe like 65. So, I mean, this is a very efficient offense. And, look out for them. But, I mean, again, they're going against a real good team. And I've downgraded the Niners during the course of the year because of their defensive injuries. But I still think this is a tough team that's going to hang in there. 4.5 is a lot to be getting at home.
I had to double check because I remember the Rams in that game. They were playing the Saints, but scored in every single quarter.
How many completed passes? Do you have it right there? Do you have the box score?
Let me see if this will open up, but should. So first down's 30 to 10.
Okay.
First down.
Let's get Stafford here. 24 of 32, 281. You want completed passes, though? Passes, yes, 20. No. That's
24? How many rush attempts for the team?
Rushing touchdowns, 1. Yards per rush for rushing plays, 43.
That's a lot.
So 43.
And how many completed passes?
24.
67?
You were right.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That might be the highest number of the
63,
year.
yeah.
That might be the highest number of the year.
Wow. Good little thing to look at. You're right. And the first downs. All right,
Yeah.
so that is the last of the afternoon, but then we do have a Sunday night game. Chris, I know you'll be excited about this one. Steelers coming off a dominant win over the Colts, and they're hoping to keep that going here. The bettors took the 3. I was kind of looking at that 3 here. Chargers 2.5 at home. They did make a trade, though, to help their O-line right before the deadline. So what are you thinking in this one?
Well, I made my number before that trade. But even after the trade, because listen, last time they lost Alt, that team fell apart.
Yes.
So they make a trade to bolster that offensive line. I think it was a really smart move on the Chargers' part because they're right in the thick of the playoff hunt.
Yeah, agreed.
Before the trade, I made the Chargers 1. After the trade, and again, I don't know how good this guy. Listen, I'm not a scout. I have to go by what people tell me, and they told me he was a pretty good lineman, and it was a good move by the Chargers. If I agree with that and believe that, how much more do you add to it? A point? So that would make the Chargers a 2-point favorite. We're mostly 2.5 in the market. There's some 3s with juice on the dog. It might be worth laying the juice here to get the 3 because I think this is going to be a pretty tight game. I do like the way the Steelers looked last week. Their defense finally played a terrific game. We've been waiting for that all year. The other thing we've been waiting for all year was that offensive line to gel. I'm not sure they gelled, but they certainly played a lot better last week. If that's an indication of things to come, I think they're going to be right in the thick of the playoff race. And I don't give the Chargers much for a home field advantage. As a matter of fact, I give them 0 for a home field advantage. They just don't have one.
Well, Pittsburgh travels.
Pittsburgh travels really well.
There'll be a lot of Steelers.
Yeah, there are going to be plenty of Steelers. So I gave them 0 for the home field. So I think 2 was a good number. 2.5 again. That's not quite enough to make you a play, but 3 might be. And I'm not putting this on my sheet because there's not. I hate laying 3 or taking 3 and laying excessive juice on it. But if it got the 3 flat, I would definitely play the dog.
They did take the 3, right?
They took the 3.
Opener,
That's right.
right?
Open it.
Yeah. So, that was the most glaring need for the Chargers, right? Offensive line help, given that the starters and backups just have devastated this team. I want to see if this is if the Steelers can duplicate the defensive performance. If the Steelers are going to be a true contender, they're going to have to duplicate or come close to. I'm not saying they have to have 6 turnovers like they did, generate 6 turnovers like they did a week ago. But they're going to have to duplicate a solid defensive effort against a very well-coached team here. And we've seen, some inconsistencies out of Herbert during the course of the year. But, hey, well-coached team in the Chargers. But there'll be a lot of Steeler fans at SoFi for this game.
Well, because a lot of Steeler fans live either here in Vegas or California, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have kind of migrated out here to the West. So I'm excited about this, and I think that should be a great game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there on the number.
Sunday night.
On the other, on 3 here for the Chargers. But
which will impact the number 2, excuse me, Alex. So the carryover, right, going to it is going to, even though it's 3, it may be a little bit or more calculated on our part, certainly, but it's definitely going to have an impact on how this number moves or not.
I think you're going to have great 2-way action by the time that game happens,
Alex.
right? Because they're going to come in and lay the 2.5 with this Chargers team and Justin Herbert and take the 3 as soon as you see it, right?
Yep.
All right, we have one more before we get everybody out of here, and it is Monday Night Football. And we're going to find out who's at the top of the NFC, right? The Eagles, the defending champions, go to Green Bay to take on the Packers. We have seen the cracks with this Packers team, and they're the favorite at home, 2.5 points, Chris, total 45. I know you've said this Packers team a little bit of a paper tiger, right?
I have. I've been saying that for a while. I think, you look at Jordan Love, there's days when he looks great and other days when he doesn't. And the coaching staff is actually starting to get a little bit of heat. That they've been right there for a while, but they can't quite get over the mountaintop.
Yeah.
I made the game pick. Now, we opened the game 2.5. It's been a steady attack on Philadelphia ever since then. I did make the game pick. I think that's the right number, but I will say this. Be careful of the popular dog. We've seen that a lot.
Yes.
So do I like Philly? I do. They're not on my list. But be careful of that popular dog. I mean, talk about the wisdom of crowds, blah, blah, blah. The wisdom of crowds is often a lot of idiots out there. So let me just tell you right now. So do I like Philly? Yeah. But I think now that we're closer to pick, and I think we're running 1, I think this game will probably close pick. Be careful betting anybody in this game. Be very careful of that popular dog.
2 popular teams, public teams in recent years, and this year's no different from the last couple of years. So, they took they bet the Eagles so far. Another game that's going to get impacted by the carryover. I think at some point there'll be the threshold will be realized with the Packers. Eagles again helped their defensive secondary with the trade with the Dolphins. Packers, I tell you what, they're probably the most inconsistent popular public team of the season so far. I don't know. When again, we see them, they look like the NFC. I said it earlier, the way that the Lions look like there are quarters, they look like the NFC representative. There are games that the Packers look like the NFC representative, but and then there's a game like last week.
Vinny, I hate to do this to you twice in one show.
Go ahead.
But the Packers are the New York Mets because they.
Why are you laughing if you hate to do it? What are you talking? I hate to do this.
You guys were friends.
I hate to do this to you, Vinny, but goodbye.
But listen to the comparison. Hear me out. Standalone games.
Do I have a choice?
Standalone games. You can bet that team under the lights. You'll get, that everything you paid for. But they'll find a way to lose to the lesser teams, right? Because the Mets lost a few series that we all just kind of.
I already know that, Alex.
We're like, how is that possible? They're so good, but under the lights, that's when you want to bet.
When do you want to talk about the Knicks? You want to go? You want to go right down the list? Alex, I can't disagree with you. You're exactly right.
That's
well
right.
said.
When you said that, be careful. I'm like, oh, you're right. This actually might be a spot for the Packers. We just saw it against the Steelers, right?
Yeah.
And then they find a way to lose to the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
When
you're right, Alex.
It's a great game.
Thank you for the references and the flashbacks. But I can't, in all seriousness, cannot disagree with you.
The truth hurts.
Well done.
The truth hurts.
Well done.
But anyways, with that being said, like Chris said, be careful. This is going to be a popular dog there, and it looks very tempting. It really does. But we'll see what happens. I'm excited. A great slate of games, a lot of division games that we haven't really had yet till this point, and we'll start seeing more and more of them. Any final thoughts for either of you before we get to our poll and check in with Ryan and the crew? And
if there's anything else, games.
We got Chris's
I've already
3
talked
games.
about them. Let me just give them to be public and on record. Vikings +4, Giants +4.5, Niners +4.5. So 3 dogs all getting over a touchdown.
Again, you don't want to overreact, but we have a better idea of the identity of these teams now, right, Alex, than we did in September. And we said that, September sometimes is kind of an extension of the preseason, especially in this day and age where a lot of regulars don't play in the preseason games. And there's only 3 of them anyway. So, but you're really starting to see the identity of teams, and the identity being consistency and coaching, and even if they're not winning every game, are they competitive, and where's the value, and out of that comes value from a betting perspective. So keep paying attention to it and listening to the show, hopefully, and it helps educate folks.
Well said, Vinny. Would you say the Packers' identity is run first and defense, right? So we're playing low-scoring games.
Yeah, well, especially now with the injury to Kraft, right? The losing him for the season.
We
is
forgot to mention that.
huge loss for them.
Terrific player.
Now,
Terrific player.
even though last week the wind was a huge factor in that game last week, but if given what he did just from week to week, what he did against the Steelers, and then he became their number one option. Let's face it. I mean, the kid was fantastic, and now he's out for the season. So that bears watching too. How are the Packers going to adjust to his loss?
That's tough. Yeah, that is.
And
a big
Josh
injury.
Jacobs, not 100%. He's had I think it's a groin injury that's kind of nagging, and groin injuries and ankles sprain. I mean, they're just always there. They linger.
If we could, can we throw up Chris's NFL efficiency rankings one more time? So if anybody missed them, this is for going into week 10, adjusted each week, but this is for the entire season. So taking a look at those if you want to take a picture there, and you will probably tweet them out if you have not already.
I haven't yet.
But
Ryan sent me a good video of it. Or, whatever. I could
It's a good
tweet
chart.
that out.
great chart, yes. Well done by the crew there. And then I'll tweet out some of my picks in the contest. Chris, I know you'll tweet out yours at 5 p.m. for college. We appreciate all of you. This was not planned, but the poll question, again, was which dog was going to win outright, find a way. And it's which team atop their division keeps up their winning ways this weekend. So Patriots plus 125 at Tampa Bay. Eagles plus 105 at Packers. Steelers plus 130 at Chargers. 79% picked
Eagles.
the Eagles.
Yes,
At
that'd be where
plus
that popular dog.
105.
Can I tell you one more thing? And I mentioned this in the beginning of the show about teaser prices. This is on our big teaser special. Made it on Tuesday morning. So on the teaser special, you can get the Eagles plus 7.5.
Wow.
It's a hell of a number.
Yes.
I might be rooting against you, but it's out there. It's there. Whether
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth taking a look at these and
we're taking a
seeing.
look. That's the only
if
game I
there is
looked
any.
at, but there's probably others out there too.
Well, and you said you don't like to push teasing college, but there's some tempting numbers up here at the top that
Look
you can
at 'em.
tie together
Look
with
at
some
them.
NFL,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Navy 35, is that enough against Notre Dame? Can they keep it that close?
Yeah.
That's just the first one that jumped out to me. But here at the South Point, of course, and a lot of options for the teasers. Come see the guys this weekend. You guys will be here both Saturday and Sunday. Come early to get a spot, to get a chair. $1.50 hot dogs, free parking, all the great stuff. South Point, one of the best spots. A shout out to Dean, Jim, Sean, Tommy, Agent 87, Robert, Adam, Ross, and Fred for all chatting today. We appreciate you guys, even if it has nothing to do with us up here. If you guys are just
Excellent.
chatting together,
Appreciate
just
I got one guy who grabbed me. I took a little coffee break earlier.
yes.
Scott from Washington, big fan of the show. I hope he's listening right now.
Great.
Scott came over and introduced himself to me and said he loves our show and he's been following us for years. And I just want to say hello to Scott.
That's great.
Scott
Love
from
the
Washington.
folks stopping
Yes.
by. Listening.
Somebody always goes and sees Vinny and Chris, and we appreciate
Yeah.
it. Please tell them.
We're not hard to find. Of course, you could find me up on the roof because I'm going to jump after my team after
After
today's
Alex's
show.
comments, I don't blame you.
It's Vinny. That Mets team is very good. So it just there was a small little flaw we found
Very
from
good,
them throughout
Alex.
the
Very
season,
good.
but
Love your research, your honesty.
that's it for us. I will double check, Ryan. Anything else from you before we let everybody go for the weekend?
Well, you wanted me to let Chris and Vinny know about the Opta stats that we saw in last night's Thursday night football game between the Broncos and Raiders. So only 2 times in the last 40 years has a single NFL team had a game with 10 or more penalties than points scored, more penalties than first downs gained, an entire quarter without gaining a first down, under 100 total rushing yards in the game, under 150 net passing yards, and having a missed field goal. Both teams did so last
Oh, my
night.
God.
So the only 2 times in the last 40 years were by the Broncos last night and the Raiders last night.
Oh, my God.
God, I feel better.
Oh,
There, very good. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you, Ryan.
I got to say, I was watching the game, and I'm thinking, is this like the worst game you've ever seen? It was just
My
terrible.
Goodness.
I had,
Good
till
for you
Ryan
guys.
mentioned
though.
that, I had no idea how abysmally bad it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But by the way, it was a great result for us.
Yes.
People really bet the over for the Broncos and the
Yeah.
Raiders.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. We
Wow.
They
needed
did.
dog and
Dog
under.
and under. We need.
Outright would have been better, but I'll take it.
Not surprised that you needed the dog at all with Denver, but thank you, Ryan. That was perfect timing too, and I did mention that before we started the NFL. We'll be back Monday, 10 a.m. As always, you can find us here, Sports by the Book YouTube channel, Monday through Thursday next week at 10 a.m. Chris is going to join us Monday morning to do a nice recap of the whole weekend. Hope everybody cashes some tickets, maybe a parlay card. We'll see you again next week. For the crew, we appreciate you guys. Thank you. Busy day for us. 2 shows on this Friday. We'll be back Monday. Thank you, Ryan McCormick, of course, for running the show. For Vinny, for Chris Andrews, I'm Alex White. We'll see you again. Have a great weekend, everybody.